This is the Patron Pre-Show. You've arrived. Welcome.
Wow, you changed the intro, ladies and gentlemen. The boy doesn't pull a fast one on all of us. I wasn't looking at that. That's what we call a curveball. You're doing that just to throw me off my feed.
Yeah, well, a little less monotonous. I don't want to simply be a soundboard where it's like, oh, let's press the intro button. Okay, blah, 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 blah.
But what would happen if I showed up one evening to do the show and I was in a bunny costume, a bunny suit?
That would probably be our highest rated episode ever.
Seeing me in a bunny suit?
Yes, in a Harvey-like bunny suit. Yeah.
What if each of us was wearing a bunny suit? Both of us.
I think that's a little overkill.
You think
But
so?
I
You just don't want to wear a bunny suit.
think
Let's face it, you don't want to wear a
well,
bunny suit.
you're the star, Charles. It's what you do. I'm just here on the side to sort of like to manage you, so to speak.
Well, you could be like the management bunny. It's like the Energizer bunny. He keeps on ticking.
I I'm
I could,
not
s-
I'm
I
not
could
averse
see
to being
you.
a manager bunny. I'll be a
All
bunny.
right, so I can see you. You're in a bunny costume. I'm in a bunny costume, and all of our patrons are sitting there in their front row seats in their bunny costumes. Now, how would that be?
Well, now you're imposing on the patrons, which I don't know if they're interested in paying money to wear bunny costumes.
Did you ever consider that some of them may have always wanted to wear bunny costumes, but were afraid for fear of being singled out for abuse? And that sitting amongst a group of other bunny costume wearers might actually make them feel better about themselves. Did that ever occur to you?
No, it didn't, but now that you've mentioned it, I feel like that makes sense with our patrons. There's a couple out there.
Now that we've opened the door.
I
All
mean,
right, patrons, if you want to come in studio wearing bunny costumes, guess what? Have at it. Not Playboy bunny costumes, and especially not you guys. No, but bunny costumes like Ralphie got on A Christmas Story.
that's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that kind of full-fledged. All you see is the face, big tail, two floppy ears, bunny costume.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Questions. First question is from Brittany, who says, "What are Mr. Coulombe's favorite things to do at a bachelor party?"
Oh, actually, that's a good question. There's several things I like to do. Drinking games come to mind, but beyond those, all kidding aside, and I've thrown quite a few bachelor parties actually, at least 18 or 19 or 20. Actually, more than that because a couple of them weren't as best man. Anyway, um, I would say what I like best is the atmosphere of reminiscence. You know, what I've always considered to be the uh, point of a bachelor party, the reason for it, is basically to celebrate the guy's past, our mutual past, um, and to sort of get him ready for the big launch into the unknown. So that's a twofold thing. You're honoring what's been, but you're also encouraging him for what has to be uh, a very nervous step. I mean, even it doesn't matter how certain he is he wants to do it. He hasn't done it before, and your groom is about to make the biggest change in his whole life. So it's a good thing you bring the old photographs. If you all had favorite songs, you sing them clips of favorite films. Whatever, you can't get too nostalgic at a bachelor party is the point I'm making. You just can't. That doesn't mean that everything will always be the same. You have all sorts of stuff. It depends on the group, how well they know each other, and so on. But by and large, um, keep those two things in mind. You're saying farewell to the glorious past, and hello to what you hope will be an even more glorious future. And so everything you do in a bachelor party should be aimed toward that. And, embarrassing photographs are great as long as they're not, a little foul. Sentimental reminiscences. Again, you can't get too sentimental at a bachelor party. You just can't. Just as unless you start breaking things, you can't get too zany. The jokes can't be too funny. You just you no. Uh, and mind you, bachelor parties can range from formal dinners to just informal gatherings. It all depends on the group, and more importantly, on the groom. What does he enjoy? Uh, I've done bachelor parties that range from something as structured as a night at the Magic Castle to really just thrown together things that, I mean, at the last minute I was asked to put something together, literally that day, by friends of the bride. Um, and I put together a bachelor party that the bachelor in question, um, the bachelor in question really had a good time with. So it can be anything in between. Everything ultimately, it all revolves around him. Now, if you get very traditional, have the bachelor party the night before the wedding, and it's a later morning or an afternoon wedding. I got to tell you, one of my favorite things is breakfast with the groom on the morning of the wedding because it's like a carryover from the bachelor party. It's usually just the two of you, and again, you're reminiscing about days gone by and getting him primed for what he's going to do later in the day. And then you make sure he's got everything from his cufflinks to the ring to everything else. Because if you do it that way, then the best man sort of plays valet to the groom on the morning of the wedding. Now, mind you, sometimes it goes even further. I was at a wedding. I was best man, and the groom had gotten another friend of his who was just begun as a caterer to cater the meal, but he rented, the groom rented the dishes and the utensils from an agency. Well, we have the wedding, then we all go over to the place, the hall where the reception is going to be. And the groom is sitting at the table, at the head table with his wife. I'm yakking up with people. He calls me over and he says, Charles, we've got a bit of a problem. And I said, what kind of a problem do we have? And he said, so and so, the friend who did the catering, is refusing to clean the utensils and the dishes afterwards. He says he has another gig, and as soon as this one's done, he's leaving. Now, mind you, all that stuff had to be cleaned in order to be returned to the people it was rented from the next day. And he didn't know what to do. He was on the line for it. And I said, you know what? Give me a few seconds. So I called all the bridesmaids and all the groomsmen and the maid of honor together. And I explained the situation. I said, what we're going to have to do, as soon as the reception is over, we're going to have to clean up. We have to clean the dishes, clean the silverware and everything. Are you all up for it? And they said, oh, sure, absolutely understood. I mean, it was weird and unpleasant, but yeah, sure. So I went back and I told the groom, you know what, pal, don't you fret. It's all taken care of. Are you sure? Yes. You just go off on your honeymoon and don't worry about it at all. So, sure enough, after they left and after the reception ended about midnight, there we were. Off went the cutaway coats, and the maids of honor pulled off their long gloves, and we got into the kitchen and washed all the dishes and the silverware. And we were singing while we were doing it and drinking. And we packed all of the dishes and all of the silverware back in their respective boxes. loaded them into my car, and the next day I dropped it all off.
Nice.
And that, that's a very happy memory I've got. And it's a very happy memory that everybody involved, including the bride and groom, have to this day. And I can tell you one thing. They really knew who their friends were that night.
All right. Question from the newly traveled French guy, number 1. All right. French guy. He says, greetings to the Viscount with the company account, the Signore to whom Charles tells stories, the president who Charles is slowly turning into an insane asylum resident, Vincent. And similar salutations to the sensei who makes a lot of sense, eh?
Gosh.
That's my favorite one.
That's pretty Anglo-Canadian, if you ask me.
That's so good, French guy. The laird who makes modernists scared, the rantin' ragin' French Canadian, Charles. I've just returned from France, and I would like Charles to know that his travel advice was of great help and that a few providential events occurred. First, I visited the Musée de Chouannerie, and had the great fortune to meet and converse with Dr. Renaud Sechet, the most celebrated historian of the Vendee War.
I met him myself years ago, about 30 years ago. He's great, absolutely great.
And was able to converse with him at some length. Secondly, there is a Bouquiniste along the Seine River who I have visited every time I'm in Paris and always purchased a book from. This time, for the first time, we had a political conversation. It turns out that his family were Chauvin. One of his wife's great-grandfathers was the secretary of King Louis XIV, and her great-grandmother, the handmaid of Marie Antoinette, and that he himself is traditional Catholic and a monarchist. Not only that, but he also hails from the same town in Brittany that my priest does. He gave me his number and offered me to stay with him the next time I'm in France, and has offered to take me on the Pardons in Brittany.
That's grand.
That's grand. So bizarre, it could only be Providence. Thank you, Charles, for all of your advice. Now on to the questions, which I hope Sir Charles will graciously answer. Firstly, while in France, I visited Puy de Fou, the amazing historical theme park, and fell in love with the story of Charette, the great general of the Vendée, and began wondering as to why he, who died a martyr's death, and the other heroes of the Vendée had not been canonized. I seem to recall that the records were destroyed during the Second World War. However, surely their cause has not been forgotten. Is there anyone working on this? If so, how do I help apart from prayer? I regret neglecting to ask Dr. Sachet this question.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't know. Just for giggles, Martyr, Vendée, Beatification. Yeah. Well, a bunch of them were actually beatified, 84 of them in 1984 by John Paul II. The 84 of them were done, and then oh my, The cause was introduced. 110 of them have had their cause introduced. See, there are 115, 5 new beatified priests and martyrs that come in. 191 September martyrs. I mean, they've had various groups of them. Beatified. But the 84 were beatified in 1984, and 115 of them are servants of God. It's hard for. I do not know. I mean, one thing is that these folks were, especially Charette people like that, if they were then this would lead to another attack on the church for attacking the revolution. I mean, that's why Louis XVI, frankly, has not been Louis XVI, frankly, and Marie Antoinette have not been beatified precisely because to do so would be a condemnation of the current regime.
Okay.
Let me just see, just again for giggles. Let me try Association Martyr Vendee. Well, yeah, there is a group called Le Souvenir Vendéen, which means the Vendean memory. Hold on. Sorry to be so roundabout, ladies and gentlemen, but the Souvenir Vendéen is an organization that says can't be reached. Well, anyway, it is an organization dedicated to keeping up their memory. So souvenir, like a souvenir, which means the memory in French. It's still very much going, so you might look into that. It's online.
All right. Secondly, on the way to France, I stopped in Iceland and discovered the rather charming story of the hidden people, elves who live in the rocks of Iceland. I also discovered that 54% of the population of Iceland believe in them as fact rather than just folklore. What does Charles know of the hidden people and how they came to become such an essential part of Icelandic folklore? Thanks again and God bless.
Well, I mean, they or their equivalents, various sorts of fairies and elves, were an essential part of the folklore of just about every people. And in some places, there's more of a belief in them than others. From Ireland to parts of Romania today, a very, very strong belief in them. And the parts of France. there's a very big question: do they exist? If they exist, my suspicion, uh, is that they're very much like, as described by theologians like Sinistrari, an order of beings that are not demonic, not angelic, not human, but something all their own, with all sorts of interesting properties. And my suspicion is that if the aliens, quote unquote, exist, they're likely to be of this variety than actual extraterrestrials. But these are all if they exist, if, and then if, with a double dose of maybe.
All right. What are Charles's thoughts on Nietzsche?
Not many. His didn't care for Christ, was both very hard and very nuts. Not a fan.
Why do you think he's popular?
Because those two qualities of his, very hard and very nuts, are very expressive of the culture in which we live, to be honest. It's brutish and nasty and crazy.
I don't understand the God is dead thing.
Well, it's an idea that's certainly rampant amongst our leadership, who arrogate to themselves the position of little gods and arrogate and usurp the right to declare what is right and wrong from, the teachings of religions. And they manufacture in their own little pinheads all that is true. They become their own imitation Nietzschean Supermen. Can't you imagine a little Supreme Court justice? I decide if life begins at conception, going back to 1972.
I mean, I just don't even understand the starting point.
Well, frankly, I don't either, and I don't want to. I mean, things today are so bloody messed up. I just, well, you've got to understand that. No, I don't. Leave me alone. Go away.
Has Nietzsche only become popular as we've sort of descended into liberalism and modernism, or has he always been popular?
Well, he always had a certain coterie of followers, but the unfortunate facts of his life, believe it or not, although this is an ad hominem, to be fair, the unfortunate facts of his life turned a lot of people off on it. But as all that got obscured and time went on and things became ever nastier, he more and more appeared to be a prophetic figure. Prophetic rather than pathetic.
Gotcha. Right. Final question for the pre-show, John. By the way, John, we have to have a talk, John. Okay, this has been a long time coming. Over 100 questions sent. There's 100 questions from John. I have a special folder for you, John, and it's my John folder where you send in questions and then I put it in the John folder. Might want to dial it down just a little bit, because we're over 100 right now. So okay. John says, I'm going to make this hard on Charles. Could you tell us all the times Turkey were the good guys and Spain were the bad guys?
Oh, absolutely. When Turkey was occupied by the Christian Byzantine Empire, and when Spain was occupied by the Muslim Arabs.
Wow, that's so simple.
See how easy that was? You thought it was going to be hard, didn't you? You did. You thought it was difficult.
I didn't think anything. I just read the question. I'm just
Uh,
like a talking monkey, Charles. I don't think thoughts.
oh, when did
So,
that start?
um, when was Spain occupied by the Muslims? When was that? Give us some dates here.
7-Eleven. 7-Eleven.
7-Eleven, like the market.
Yeah,
Oh,
and the last bit of Muslim dominance was liberated in 1492.
wow. All right, great. Okay, that's it for the pre-show.
Ah, separation anxiety.
From the pre-show?
Well, yeah, and from the patrons of the pre-show.
Don't worry, Charles. We'll see them pretty soon. Full episode coming right at you.
You promise?
Yeah, I promise. Here, I'll get you a donut. You'll be okay.
Will they all stay in the theater and watch?
Yes, every single one of them. We'll bar the doors.
Will they wear bunny suits?
Yes, we'll make them all wear bunny suits.
Oh, okay. I guess I could stay for the next show. I was scared. I was scared they wouldn't wear bunny suits.
Everything's gonna be okay, Charles. We'll make sure they all wear bunny suits.
And I want them to wear bunny suits.
We'll make sure they all wear bunny suits, and we'll make sure they're all obedient and clap for you, and laugh when you're funny, and do all the things you want them to do.
They won't scare me, will they?
No. All right. Stay tuned, everyone.
What? I can't retreat into infancy?